Things Destiny players can't stand. There's a lot right now, unfortunately, given the current state of the game and waiting for Acts 3 and Heresy in February, but even sometimes the smallest thing can annoy players. If you've been around the game for a while, you'll definitely recognize some of these, and it pokes some fun at those aspects of the game. Things only Destiny fans will understand. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Guardians, and let's take a look. So it's worth noting, yes, some of these are pretty nitpicky, but if you've played Destiny, you know what these are for sure. These are in no particular order, and as mentioned, some are more broad for the overall game, and some are much smaller. Fallen enemies constantly hiding behind cover, prolonging fights and disrupting the game's flow, and what should be a simple headshot with a hand cannon turns into a mini game of hide and go seek. There was actually a Bungie stream from Destiny 1 where they talked about cover specifically and how the enemies move around this.
So we need cover, right? Like really nice shooting combat sandbox shooters. They really kind of work really well when you have rectilinear cover like this, where things are more or less square. And the reason that works so well is we have our combatants. They will bunker and move out behind cover, and they do it really well on these right angles. And if you don't have a nice right angle like that, they kind of look dumb because their body's poking out too far, and you can sit there and shoot them and it looks like they're not very smart.
So this is the evolution of the old Halo crates.
More or less, yeah.
Enemies teleporting. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Overload Captains, Taken enemies, and the rest of you. Try farming precision kills at Shirochi with these Thrall and you'll see what I mean. You're in a Grandmaster or a high-tier lost sector and you're about to kill the champion or stun him for your teammates, but he just teleports away, regaining all of his health. Taken Scions can quickly duplicate, overwhelming players with sheer numbers, turning a manageable fight into a chaotic one. For me, the Aphelions Rest Lost Sector comes to mind first. Doing some of those solo Lost Sectors, you round the corner, you thought there was only 2 Scions, but nope, a whole family just spawned on their own. And the thing is, you have to deal with them quick or else it's going to keep happening. So if you're in those higher tier Lost Sectors, make sure to bring something like a rocket to deal with them quickly. When players activate the hardest events like Season of the Witches, Altars, and have no clue what to do, or Blindwell for example that's still in the game. Those blueberries may be super low power, and sometimes you want to complete the hardest tiers to get those rewards. Other times you just need a completion for a bounty, yet the blueberry random insists on activating the hardest difficulty, yet they can't withstand 2 hits from a Thrall. Fallen mines, they can be easy to deal with, but sometimes other Guardians ruin the moment. It sort of feels like it should be a common courtesy, right? If you set off a mine, you should turn around and shoot it so it doesn't explode and slow down your teammates. It just feels like the right thing to do. Yet you can run through a Seraph bunker and get stuck miles behind the action thanks to the speedrunning well skater who triggered all the mines and is already in the boss room. Now I will admit I have done this before, I know you probably have as well, and I do speedrun some strikes, but it's annoying for sure when you're on the other side. Teammates strafing in front of you during a boss damage phase and blocking your shots, leading to missed opportunities and frustration. Oh, Nezarec needs one more rocket? You popped your arc spear ready for DPS? Nope, a teammate strafes in front of you and blocks all the damage, or even kills you in the process. If we just had some type of mechanic where we could, I don't know, crouch down in front or stand still, that would be perfect. Being abruptly kicked out of your menu during loading screens is a constant annoyance, and I know we've all experienced this one. Changing your weapons and making that brand new outfit with your new armor and shaders just to have it all erased because you were loading into an activity. I get it, it makes some sense pulling you out of your menus and getting you into the action, but this one just happens way too much, especially if I'm trying to do something of high importance. Mounting your Sparrow too quickly can cause a similar issue. The UI will still appear on the screen as if you've never gotten on the Sparrow, or sometimes it locks you out of getting back on the thing for a few seconds. Long respawn timers in dungeons can be tedious, especially if your team is struggling, leading to prolonged downtime. It's a simple jumping puzzle, yet I suck and I die. There are no enemies around, but I still have to wait 45 seconds just to progress through the puzzle once more. This can be really frustrating, especially if your teammate is far ahead of you and there's no way for them to get back and revive you. You're just sitting there and waiting all day long. Unexpectedly, being crushed by Cabal drop pods is both surprising, irritating, and hilarious. Once you play the game enough, you sometimes can predict when it's going to happen, like in the Cosmodrome Battleground, but other times they'll just rain down from the heavens at will. And even if you've played the game for thousands of hours, it may still frustrate you in that moment. Getting stuck in small geometry can also annoy some players. The game's terrain can sometimes trap you in small spaces, or maybe it's a prop, hindering movement and potentially even leading to deaths. This happens in any game, but it really disrupts the flow sometimes. Flying through with all the momentum in the world, feeling like a god when your sparrow clips an invisible rock or wall that stops you in your tracks. Scorpius turrets, we all love them, right? They can be deadly accurate and hard to avoid. Destiny players hate Scorpius turrets. I won't speak for everybody, but they're small, sometimes easy to destroy, but pack a huge punch, especially at higher difficulties, and don't get me started on that flinch. Players using eager edge or well skating through activities. I speedrun strikes a lot as mentioned if I'm trying to get things done, but I'll admit having someone well skate or fly past an entire encounter can sometimes ruin the flow of a normal activity. If I see that, maybe there's no point in even fighting these enemies in front of me, as I should just run past to catch up to that warlock, or get teleported to the next encounter because they're already there anyway. Now that's not quite as bad, but it gets worse when they boop you off the edge on purpose with the eager edge or well skating. The infamous boss stomp mechanic can send you flying, often leading to instant death or disorienting situations. Destiny players know this. Nearly every boss has a stomp mechanic. Even if they don't have legs, no problem, they'll just stomp you away. They'll just do that little animation, that little head tilt of a Hydra, and they'll blast you to that back wall. The community has really ragged on this one over the years. They're like, Bungie, come up with something better than the stomp, please. Being unexpectedly knocked back or even off the map by a phalanx shield blast is a common occurrence in Cabal battlefields. This is kinda like the stomp and the drop pod. It can be annoying in certain situations, but also triggers some of those funny moments, sending a guardian flying across the map. Slide shotgunning in the Crucible. Need I say less? Pair this with overshields and the other techniques and you'll be the dead guardian dripping in their puddle of sweat. Some strikes you just can't stand or just don't enjoy. The environment and enemies might be unique, but either it's too long or tedious, or just has an annoying boss that teleports away during the damage phase. Bungie has remade some Destiny 2 strikes like the Lake of Shadows, but for me personally, the Corrupted and the Exodus Crash make me head back to orbit real quick sometimes if I'm trying to get something done or finish strikes quickly. This isn't gameplay, but of course, players hate Eververse and its microtransactions, especially that fear of missing out of items that are no longer in the game. Ever since Eververse's introduction in Destiny 1, Bungie hopped on the train of those microtransaction and limited time items, and this one for sure has really brought down the morale at points in this game's history. Limited vault space forces players to constantly manage and discard items, a tedious and restrictive aspect of inventory management. I personally don't have an issue as I don't have much in my vault, but some Guardians are hungry for more vault space constantly. They even have second and third characters just for the purpose of holding their main character's weapons and gear. These are for sure the hoarders in the Destiny universe. The removal of certain game content through vaulting can be disappointing, especially if it's content players enjoyed or haven't finished. Bungie has said that future content won't be vaulted outside of seasonal activities and so on, but so much story from Destiny 2 is unplayable. The original Red War campaign, Forsaken, all the seasons that went along with it. New players have no idea any of that stuff exists. It may make sense from a technical perspective on Bungie's side, but sucks for Destiny players. They want to look at the story, they have to find videos like this one I created to stay up to date. Destiny players hate Destiny. No matter how long you've played the game, you likely have something to complain about. And if you don't and haven't at one point, someone else definitely does. It's a big issue this game has, unfortunately, because, well, we've seen a lot over 10 years and some players expect more. More content, new things to do. Not sure about you, but I hate Destiny. It's my favorite game. When random players don't trigger the heroic versions of public events, that can really grind some gears. Sometimes you want to rush through and complete events for completions, but when you need that heroic, that seems to be the moment someone else rushes through for their completion, or don't know what they're doing entirely. Bungie has added the ability to favorite certain shaders. But how many times did you ask a friend, what shader is that? They tell you the name, but you're like, that doesn't help. What are its colors? What does it look like? And what's the seasonal icon? And after a minute of searching, you finally found it. A search feature would be perfect for shaders. Tower NPC dialogue. Someone smuggling worm spore up from the city. What cipher is this? You've heard it all a million times, but if you're making frequent trips to the tower, this can get quite repetitive. Error code cat, baboon, bee, anteater, beaver, boar. The servers have been really struggling over the last year. Bungie has addressed and is working to fix the issues, but it just makes you go, yup, that sounds like Destiny alright. How many times have we banked different objects? Motes of darkness, throwing treasure engrams, override. Destiny players are used to banking things into objects. Ever put on a shader and it looks nothing like the preview? Bungie kind of fixed this issue with the new UI icons in the final shape, but sometimes it's still hard to decide what shader to wear, especially if the little icon colors are missing. Not sure about you, but sometimes I get lost in my vault, and on certain occasions it takes me a while to find things. Sure, you can set your vault to sort through different objects, but this tip right here may help you out, and I recently just learned this. Turns out kinetic weapons face the left and energy weapons face the right. Shout out to my friend iBeakers for helping me record some of these little skits. Hope you enjoyed some of that footage. So there you have it, Guardians, 20 plus things Destiny players can't stand. As I mentioned, some of these were really small, like the Fallen hiding around cover, while others are huge, like Eververse. If you have some more thoughts of your own, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.